Oh, well, on this lovely Wednesday. Uh, Tomorrow is the 1st of December. Yes. Think about that for a second. Where did this month go? Ask that question. Because I would like to know myself. I don't think we stick with this one, this music. I think we go to the original one. I think this one was the one we were listening to before. Wait, you see an ad or something now. Yeah, this is the one we were originally listening to. I think I'd rather this one to be totally honest. We'll see what people wish to have this one. I think people like this one the most. If it would load, that would be appreciated. If it would load, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? If it would, yes. Wouldn't it be nice? I don't know why it's having an issue. This thing's having an issue today. It's in bad form, bad show. That's fine. But we just being on you, being unreasonable. Let's put that. I know, but shall lock it. I don't think to be many people because they're just coming back. Everybody's just coming home from work basically at this time. Uh, New, what's this? Ooh. Just 1 second. Just the look at this for a second. Uh, Give me 2 seconds. No, Tony, sorry, I was just listening to somebody just sent me a voice message and I was listening to that. Apologies for that. That's okay. No, I was just listening to that, so nothing too serious. Then. I should look at it. It's not important. How was today, and how are you doing today, Anna? How was work going for you? Oh, tell you, there's awful time being at work, isn't it? Tell you. Because usually when you like, I got home now and I'm not as tired as I was when I was at work, which is a good thing. Because early on this morning, when the 12 o'clock there, I was awful tired. Don't know why. I don't know. As soon as I got home, I'm a bit more energized than I was then. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. Why is Ditton not working here now? What is the issue? I give it a second and I don't know what happens now and again. It just randomly doesn't connect to my computer for some reason. It's happened now a few times the last week. Should be because it's on my tablet and I have it in the lax. It's just not going through for some reason. Anyway. Give it a second and it'll be fine. Eventually it'll work. Why is this thing not? I tell you, this thing sometimes I wouldn't mind without it. You can say it's connected, but it says there's no access at the same time. So make up your mind, computer, which one it is. Like I had to make up the mind at some stage. Like it says there's internet, but then it says there's no access to it. So it doesn't make any sense to me. This is all. I probably should just restart. Probably just whatever. Don't know why now. I have to look into that now at some point. It's a bit strange. I should look at restart. It'll only take a few minutes. Just restart. I don't know why, but let me see. I have to look into it or something. Something better when I get that. Because it shouldn't be just going off. Like the other day, it went off for about a minute or two, and then we're back on again. Didn't it? It's just that it probably just doesn't. I don't know why. Sometimes it probably just loses connection for a second or. Like I have it on my tablet here. I can see it right in front of me, and my phone's going off, didn't it? So it's not like it's down. So no, it's just the tablet. No, not the tablet. The computer. It just loses connection for about 2 minutes, and then it comes back on again. So you know. Anyway, it take a second. It won't take long. I have to go at 6 o'clock now. I have to go off and do something. Good afternoon, Sean. How are you? Excuse me, sorry. I think Tony's gone, Sean. I think he's gone back to work. So I think he's gone to work. I think he's gone back to work. I think he was on break. Or maybe he's still here. I think he probably has gone back to work. Interesting.
You often wonder some things, you see.
Providing accommodation to 64,000 people, many from Ukraine. He went on to list that 17,000 of those people who have come to our shores fleeing wars elsewhere. He listed in his response wars in Syria, Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, from where people have come seeking international protection. Your minister failed to mention countries of Georgia, where 2,300 applicants have come in the first 10 months of this year, representing a tenfold increase from 2021 figures. He failed to mention Algeria, which has seen the numbers of asylum seekers increase from less than 100 in 2021 to a staggering 1,318 for the 10 months so far in 2022, an increase of more than 1,000%. With similar figures from Somalia, Nigeria and Albania. I'm not sure now if the minister didn't know the figures or was he being deliberately misleading in his response. You dodged the question and passed it to Minister O'Gorman. So I'm asking you today if the National International Protection Office has witnessed a staggering 516% increase in new arrivals seeking asylum, excluding those coming from Ukraine. And that's a very important figure, not from Ukraine. No country can sustain such levels, particularly when we have in the midst of a housing crisis, unprecedented, health capacity, massive crisis, just been talking about, and a savage cost of living in crisis. A crisis. Shockingly, 3,254 persons arrived in the state undocumented in the first 8 months of this year. This is a reply I got from the Minister for Justice, who admitted that these passengers had presented documentation at the point of departure, but were no longer in possession of such documentation when they reached Immigration Service in Dublin Airport. That's a scanning situation.
Yeah, he has no but I'm just listening to Matthew McGrath.
The right to protect its borders. And every state has not only a right but a duty and obligation to balance the needs of its citizens and its communities with the needs of those seeking international protection.
We hear what Micheál has to say.
Medical consultant in Tipperary, Dr. Mary Ryan, has expressed huge concerns about our immigration policy and the impact it's having on an already overstretched and disastrous health service. She has called for a pause. And she's a woman well recognised. So I'm once again asking you, Taoiseach, if we can have a debate on this important matter in this House, an urgent debate, or if we can have a special committee established urgently to examine the impact of the ongoing numbers of migrants into this country is having on our already overstretched and failing state services. As I said, it's vital that we have a debate on this. The public are asking and wanted, and it seems to be a kind of I know a mentioned policy here enforced in this House and elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Taoiseach. Thanks to Deputy for raising this important issue. The first point I would say is that we are in unprecedented times, and the world is not in a good place. We have a terrible, immoral and illegal war waged on the people of Ukraine by President Putin and by Russia, which is causing untold killing, untold damage to energy infrastructure, it's weaponized food, has weaponized migration, and I think is causing huge uncertainty across the continent of Europe and across the world in terms of economic development. So the most fundamental outcome of the war is the fact that so many young people are losing their lives on the front. It's quite shocking in the modern era that we're witnessing a humanitarian disaster on a scale not seen since World War II on the continent
Well,
of
the
Europe.
thing, like,
And since
you think you just
October
asked the
last,
question.
Russians are targeting critical energy
Like,
infrastructure.
you think you
and
just
war
asked the question
facilities.
instead of going on.
And millions of homes.
I say, well, you know,
in
we heard
Ukraine
this
are
a million
experiencing
times. Like,
power
let's be fair,
outages,
we've heard it before.
and supply of electricity to Moldova is affected. That's the context in which we're having this discussion.
Yeah, I know
it
the
is
context. Yeah.
And the result has been millions and millions of Ukrainians leaving their country. Now, Ireland has welcomed and taken in, along with other European member states, and as part of the European Directive, Temporary Protection Directive, we have directly housed 47,000 people.
Aye, that's exactly what he was asked, and obviously he's saying, "Oh, it's Putin."
65,000 refugees from Ukraine.
You know.
And
Like Matty, just to stop there and just listen to the door. Like Matty McGuire specifically asked about Algeria and Georgia and things like that. And I think, what was it? It was Algeria. Sorry. Then there was other country. I can't remember the other country. You mentioned Albania and what they call Georgia. Yeah, and remind me how long I got to Putin.
Includes international protection. Now, that's not easy. It's unprecedented. It is challenging. We have never before had to deal with numbers of that kind or in that volume. And on the Ukrainian situation, the vast majority.
Yeah, see, like it's like actually, like we know about the Ukrainian situation. He's asking about. He specifically asked about Georgia and Algeria. I think he said, you know, Martin McGuire, and he's just like Ukraine. You know, Ukraine is Putin. You know, like. Yeah, excuse me, have you looked at the map recently? I know Georgia's not too far away from Russia, right? But Algeria is in Africa, and unless Putin can travel space and time, you know. But you know, like he didn't answer. Like he was asked specifically. Like we know about the Ukrainians, right? He said it for the last 900 years. Like literally, his response literally was about half of Ukraine, and we understand that bit now.
And many communities across the country, and many people have opened up and have welcomed Ukrainians in, given the circumstances that they're fleeing from and they're leaving family.
And he also asked, no, just says, sorry, I meant that. He asked, why is there so many coming in and have documents? Like when they leave the country, when say they leave France, right, and they get on a plane, right, and then they randomly end up in Dublin, right, they don't have their documents. And Micheál Martin was like, it's Putin. Putin takes them off them. Like, you know, like everything's just Putin with Micheál Martin. It's nobody else's fault. It's nobody else's fault. And yeah, it's like Ukraine's a big country now. But yeah, it's Putin, but it's Putin.
But it certainly does create huge pressures on our services.
Like I know Putin has some blame to take, but you know.
But in my view,
everybody's to blame.
in a wartime situation like this, I don't think there's a choice here. And I think we have to work with other European countries in respect of this. The most effective thing would be if Putin called off this war and stopped it. But at the moment now what's going on is they're trying to freeze people, starve people. And I think
well, let's be fair, the Irish government done a good job of doing that themselves.
It's a premeditated attack on people and the basic necessities of life. In my view, it constitutes a war crime. On the international protection, the numbers have gone significantly.
Oh, no, he's talking about this, wish.
And what I would say to the deputy is, I have no issue at all with a debate in the House on this, and I have no issue with a committee being formed if that's the desire of the House.
Aye, we'll see what comes of that then. No, he goes on bullshitting, that's it. Yeah, like he didn't, like he just basically didn't answer that. Like he was asked the right question, didn't bother that. He said, "Oh, we just, you know, it's Putin." That's basically what was said. Anywho. Oh, former chairperson of the Communist Party of China died. Right. Yeah, but the best spy in the class, isn't it? But anyway. I love the way he was asked the right question. He just didn't answer it. He just went on about the thing that we already know about. We've been told 100 times about. But anyway. Is the doll still going on? Let's see. I see what they're talking about in the doll. I'm only back there at 4 o'clock, so I'm only catching up what's happening today. Like, I'm only back from work at 4, so I haven't heard what's happening in the Oaxaca. Let's see what they're talking about in the Oaxaca. The Mama Doll Ewan. It's Shannon Ewan on one. I think even there, they're gone home and they're fed up with us and sleeping. In the game. How to insurance
Pay
administration plan.
by almost half the public.
Motion shorter. What? Listen for a second just to hear what they have to say, because I actually know what they're talking about.
You know, it completely disregards the social contract where people pay their taxes according to their means, and in return they get access to proper public service.
Well, that's never going to happen now. You pay your taxes. So I don't know where the fuck my taxes go to. Let's be fair. I don't know where it goes to. It goes to fucking the TDs apparently. Like, I don't know where it fucking goes. I never see what I get paid. My taxes pay for. I don't see where it goes. To be totally honest.
And of course, we have this symbiotic relationship between the private health service.
What's happening in
and
the Shannon?
public health service.
Need to have
Oh, it's
Honey,
Honey, or Connie, or whatever you call. In the Labour Party.
I do not think we are looking at it in the right way, and I have to be honest, I believe that the
That's a greyhound
industry
racing.
monetizes for animal suffering, and we are watching this cruel act of war against our animals for trade for profit right in front of our eyes. And I need not go into some of the ways that the animals in this industry are being treated. You know, we justify the killing of an innocent dog because they can't continue to make profiteers money. Greyhounds, 38 greyhounds are killed each month in the industry for overbreeding. Is a figure that that's repugnant. You know, and we have a motion here, which I think actually.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, they shouldn't be killing.
I note that I went through some of your
For
things. You
overbreeding.
don't call out people when you are dealing with any other bill or amendment for not putting in a motion at any other point. You know, this is the motion that we have in front of us, and I noticed in the other house you're skewering people for not putting in motions or doing anything in between.
Listen for a second, because I actually
an amendment in, and I think
more
the
interested in this
amendment
greyhound
is
thing than them, but the
amendment.
other
We're
bit.
asking you to look
The other
at
thing
how
they're talking about.
the industry is funded. We're asking you to determine is this the best use of fund. We're asking you how to best support the sectors. We have a workers' rights element to this amendment. You know, we recognise that this is something that is still a strong part of some communities, but that this is a declining part of some communities, and we want you as minister to take this
Which
amendment
minister you
and to
have?
look at how this
I
fund
actually don't
is
know who
distributed,
the
look
top.
at the rights of the workers in the sector and how that can be improved, and an employment regulation order to introduce a set minimum rates of pay and conditions, and also, as has been referenced before, this fund comes from the betting levy, but it only goes towards the horse and greyhound fund, and I think the distribution of funding towards other sports areas is something that needs to be looked at and considered. So look, I've laid out my personal bona fides on this. It is, I've expressed this before. You know, I come from a family that used to breed and raise horses. We used to have the Crufty point to point literally outside our front window. We could have sat and watched it if we wanted to, but we don't do that anymore. We don't have horse racing on our land anymore. We recognise that is not a sustainable way to treat animals. It's not the right way to treat animals. And I really am asking you, Minister, to consider our amendment. It is fair, it is balanced, it is giving you an opportunity to come back to both houses with how we can look at this fund. And I'm really imploring you to consider that. But just upon the record, I won't be voting in favour of this fund, and I never will be.
Who's there now?
Thank you very much. And I might begin by just saying I would.
Oh, it's the
actually
minister
put
for
calls on the minister to consider.
Oh, this is the person's daughter.
Put forward by a number of groups. Obviously, I have my own, which I'm going to go through one by one now. But constructive proposals have been put forward by other parties.
Yeah,
and
that's the one who sent us the letter
ones which will,
for cabinet.
if accepted, would mean that we were in a better position next year. And I say that after.
We'll go back to the
a
door.
number
Let's
of
see what
years
that is.
of
I'm just getting interested to see what they say to. Because I actually haven't listened to any of them what they say today, so I probably should keep an eye on what they say and what they're talking about. Because it's kind of important to know what they do and what they're doing. Who's this fellow? Oh, it's social welfare bill. What's this?
From the customer. And if you look at just how important the supplementary welfare allowance scheme is. It's absolutely vital.
What
And,
the fuck is this
you
now?
know,
I
if you
actually
look
don't know what
to
they're talking about.
the end of September 2022, you know, if you look across it, you know, the range of services that it provides, everything from bills, child-related payments, clothing, funeral, general housing, illness expenses, urgent needs payments.
What?
You know,
I don't know what
up
that.
to the end of September 2022, there was 39 million, nearly 40 million paid out. So it's a vital service. It's a service that I think we're all very protective of, including the minister, and because it gets.
It must be
most
Minister
people who
Humphreys
need
is
it
there at the
most,
moment.
who are in such a risk of poverty, and it's such a flexible way in which to resource people who so badly need resources across a whole plethora of payments, and that discretionary element of it is so vital that it has to be protected. So the basis then of the amendment is to ask that the minister would lay a report before both houses of the Oireachtas on the currently prevailing levels of provision of and accessibility to community welfare officers, and on the additional recruitment and other costs that would be entailed in ensuring that a community welfare officer was available for consultation
Community-
by members
oh,
of
right.
the public in all social welfare offices during ordinary hours of business. The minister may tell us that people have access to intro offices, and you know, while if we take as a given the fact that most people have transport now, not everybody does, and I have witnessed scenarios where people do not have access to either public transport or private transport. They rely on taxis, and for them to move away from the clinic type arrangement that once existed to now have to go to their nearest town, which could be 20 or 30 kilometres away, if they're to avail of an intro service, it just puts the service that bit further away from them. And all I'm calling for in this amendment is that we would at least have some degree of an assessment of how that service is working and recognise the importance of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Oh, it's
Ciara,
head up.
and thank you, Deputy, for raising this matter again. Look at, I prefer not to put amendments like reports into legislation. That's the first thing. And when I say I'll do a report, I'll do it.
Are you doing it?
I think Deputy Curran will agree there. If I say I'll do the report, I will do it, and I did do it last year. So if you wouldn't mind. No, but what I will say to you is, I will do this report.
I will, I
Because
do.
like many deputies
I do.
across this house, I
Very
realise
Chick
the
Mullen
important
accent.
service the community welfare officers provide.
Yeah, the computers had a fit. they had enough listening to the TDs. The computer's just like, no more, please stop. Yeah, the computer's actually having a fit. Yeah, I don't know why. What's the problem here now? I don't know why it's not. It just wanted me to turn on. It's wanted me to turn off again. I did. It's just had enough of the TD. It had enough started listening to the TDs. The computer. It had enough. I just probably refresh it.
Phone line,
Yeah.
and a case can also be escalated if urgent local action is required, such as an immediate check payment, where it is
Check
clear
payment?
to
What the
persons
fuck is
of
this?
immediate need. Every effort is made to ensure they receive the payment on the same day. So the
What
delivery
payment?
of the locally based community welfare service remains and will continue to remain a key aspect of the service, and that won't change. And I'm happy to do the report, Deputy.
I didn't hear the beginning of it, so it's in the job of community
All
work.
right.
All right.
I'm conscious of timing. Forgive me.
I'm not sure if there's a time limit in this stage, is there? There's no. The overall end of 90 minutes, so maybe don't take for 90 minutes.
Very good, sir. No, I welcome the minister's response, and look, I know the minister to be a fair-minded person, and if the minister says that she will do this report, I know that she will do this report. I don't want to labour the point too much, except to say that I would be quite protective of the scheme. The Labour Party would be quite protective of the scheme, and when we hear of reports unconfirmed that there is the creation of hubs within the department itself.
Hub zone, yeah. I didn't know. I was going to say, so I jumped over.
Paranoid and suspicious, dare I say it. And paranoia in politics is no bad thing, I would say, as long as it's small micro doses. And
What
we all have very good
are you on about, man?
with officers, individual officers.
Okay, it's on about community welfare officers, aren't they, and social
It's an
welfare.
excellent department. It delivers so much for citizens. And I'm going back to Frank Plusky on the supplementary welfare allowance legislation. So the minister will appreciate where Labour stands in terms of protecting the supplementary welfare allowance scheme and the role of the community welfare officer. And
Okay, so
look,
they're on about getting more of the more they're on about.
on that basis.
What
I'm-
exactly?
Look, I shall not press the amendment. I'm quite happy to, withdraw the amendment, on that basis, on the basis of the commitment that I've been given. Thank you.
Deputy Grant wants to come on and then we'll go back to you.
Sinn Féin.
And I just want to welcome that the minister has agreed to look at this. I think it's really important. And as I've
There's only
said,
3 of them there. Like, a whole lot of them must have just had enough of this bill and just
in
fucked off.
relation to community welfare officers and accessing them, and I just want to make some very brief points. As well as those of us in the opposition, organisations like the Society of St Vincent de Paul have also raised concerns in relation to accessing community welfare officers, and we have been for some time now, so this really needs to be done. They are going to be under huge pressure, as are people seeking their support in the days and weeks ahead, and it's a pity that this work hasn't been done at this point. I think cases now, not in my constituency, that I've got from colleagues, where in one case a lady's fridge was broke and in another the cooker was broke. 2 separate areas of the state, and they were both told they needed to get an engineer into the house to get a report to say the cooker and the fridge
Not the
were broke.
fucking council
I
engineers.
mean, in one case it was a very elderly lady. If she didn't contact the local TD, she probably would have just done without. Now I don't know how many people are saying this to people. I've heard of 2. That's alarming.
Look, he's not the.
And
I hope she didn't
really
go for the
has
council
been
engineers, because I tell you, they couldn't tell you
kind of
anything.
a meeting with all CWOs online, 10 minutes, and I think that's really needed. If we have some CWOs suggesting to people they go and get an engineer to come in and look at the fridge and say it's broke, come back like it's.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you go and get an engineer when you see sparks coming out of the fridge and the fridge literally collapsing in on itself, and you have to get in there. It sounds like something the council would do. Like if the road's broken, like literally the road has a big crack going down it all the way down the road, they bring out an engineer to say it's broken. Like no shit, Sherlock. Let's be fair on that. That's a bit stupid now.
As there had been previously.
Because that's what they do. There was a road there one day, Sherlock, that had a crack on it. Then they had a crack going across the road. I don't know what happened. I didn't crack or whatever. I don't know why. But basically, the story is they called out 3 or 4 engineers. I don't know why they called them out, but they called 4 or 5 of them out anyway. And they all looked around the road. They measured the road. They went up and down the road for a while. They were there for about 2 hours. They looked at the road. They stared at the road, and then they told them the road wasn't. The road was cracked.
I was surprised when I saw it. But having said that,
So, otherwise.
community welfare officers are, they are compassionate people. They do their best. We don't know all the details in that particular case, but I'm having it checked out as we speak, and we'll certainly get to the bottom of that. Look, and I want to just thank the Deputy Sherlock for not pressing this amendment. And as I said, I'm happy to do this report, and I'll do it. It will be done very promptly, is what I can say. We carry it out very quickly, because at the end of the day, can I just say that the community welfare officer and the fund that's there, and it's an open-ended fund. There's no limit. There's no cap on the money that's available. It's demand-led, but that is the state's safety net. And we'll all appreciate there has to be some checks and balances in terms of how the money's paid out. But that is the safety net to help people who get themselves into, who find themselves in difficult and emergency situations. And we're here to help people at the end of the day. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks very much.
Another fellow up in the top.
The opportunity to contribute to
Who's
the
here?
debate this evening. And firstly, can I, before I speak to the amendment, can I just take
There's only
the
4 of
opportunity
them
to
there.
compliment the Minister and her colleague Minister McGrath for a very comprehensive.
I can't even fucking see the TD. I don't know who's speaking.
The high cost of
Oh,
living.
it's this fella, yeah.
Constituents to
I
very
do
much
see it.
welcome the increases that have been announced and now already.
I know someone on the
paid
seat.
out, and it was right and proper that the government was in a position to do that. But I too would have concerns shared with three other speakers in relation to the CWO. Not that they're not flexible enough or not
The computer's literally sick of listening.
compassionate
There.
enough, but they simply are snowed under, Minister.
Snowed under.
The volume of work that they have to do with the new people who have moved to Ireland and with the increased pressures on our
Looks
own,
into the camera.
residents here locally as well, that they're not even able to process some of the applications in a timely fashion. And the whole purpose and need to...
Well, the reason why too, the Department of Social Welfare, they should work on Saturdays and Sundays. The same as every state agency nearly should work on a Saturday and Sundays that are having fucking then they're having half day too. They should work the full day on a Friday. Same as the council. We totally honest. I know that people in the council like having it. Like I'm saying myself, it's nice to have a bit of a half day to get home early on a Friday, right? But it shouldn't be the case. Really, you should just work the extra hour.
Family who need
That should be the way it is. I know you might start early in the morning, but you should work more hours and things like that.
get the adults dependent on the payment any longer, despite the fact that that son is going into his 5th year of study in medicine. They're still in full-time education. They still have the same costs associated with full-time education, but that family is down €2,500.
For what? €2,500 for fucking what? What are they spending
Per annum, Minister, and they have been unable to get social welfare, a social welfare payment or an exceptional needs, grant me exceptional needs payment. And at this stage, I need to know, as the stress over the last number of weeks has been awful on us as a family, wondering from day to day, is my son staying or leaving college? I've had a chat last night where I just broke down and cried uncontrollably for what seemed a long time. My son held me and told me it was okay because he knows I'm doing everything in my power to keep him in college. But the system is flawed.
What are we talking about? We're talking about the Susie grant. Is that what they're on about?
That needs to change for other...
Or they're talking about him not getting...
I'm a broken woman, but my son is my best reward. And we both now accepted he won't become a doctor he dreamed of being. I can't go through this for another 2 years. I just can't. What a waste of almost 4 years of college, and a waste of government money too. And she went on to thank me for my intervention. But Minister, we do need people to deal compassionately and flexibly.
I don't really get what like is it to do with the Susie grant over?
I understand the 22 years. I do.
What
because
22
most
years?
places
What?
last for 4 years. They don't go 5 or 6 years. But for someone studying medicine, dentistry, veterinary, they are going to college longer than 22 years of age.
Oh, why did I talk about
We need
22?
to respond to a situation like this when it's raised with us. We need to look at increasing the age bracket higher than 22 if somebody is in full-time education, if they're not repeating a year. And where that is not permissible, I think in an instance like this, we do need to intervene. We do need to give some financial support for a young man who has, against all the odds, come from a lower socioeconomic background, studied exceptionally hard, got an exceptional leaving cert, got accepted into study
I'm
medicine,
confused.
has passed his first 4 years in medicine, and now potentially going to drop out because we can't make the necessary intervention. If we can't, I think...
But I don't get what intervention in what?
And I don't want to see that happening.
I know to talk about him leaving the college, so it's either something to do he's not getting the Susie grant or they can't afford.
In the lead up to this budget, and indeed in previous years, and I would ask you to take a personal interest in this file and ensure this young
I'm still ahead of how
ambition and become a doctor.
I'm still ahead of you. Let's see what how does.
Well, the deputy has raised this matter with me. all I can say is that it's obviously a very emotive text that you get, and we all get situations where it's difficult for people. There is a date.
Fucking this computer, I'm telling you. I don't know why it's having a fit. I won't be able to hit here. This computer sometimes I don't know why it just. I might have to get my folders to here.
I take your point about 22 is the cut-off age, and I changed it to 22.
Oh, 22, so it's a ski. So basically, it's.
There's massive call on resources there, and I would say to that family, you know, there is there's a number of different supports through the Minister for Further Education's department in terms of the Susie grant.
Okay,
I know that there was additional resources provided there, and
Oh, so it's so I think he's going. He wants to go for a medical course and he can't because I don't think they can have the money for it.
in the cost of the fees. So
Oh yes,
maybe
it's
those
yeah, I saw
couples,
it. So they probably didn't get the
and-
Susie
and
grant.
if they want to go to, I don't know what else I can say. There are supports there, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to help people, but I can't change something for one specific person, and I suppose you'll appreciate that, Deputy. The cut off for the qualified child, age 22 is the date. But I'll you know, I have the request that you sent me, and it's, you know, it's, I don't know how you could call this you know, it's an ongoing cost as opposed to an exceptional needs cost, to be fair. And I think they probably need to sit down and try and find, are there any other routes they can look at? And I know you'd be more than willing to help them to look at that, to see is there any other options that might be available to them. So thanks.
Thank you, Minister. So in relation to Amendment 1, Deputy Sure, that's been withdrawn.
So I think it's true. He didn't get the Susie grant, and he has to be. I think he is 22. He's in college, and he's going on for medicine. I think this. Either he can't go on after 22s, and I do. He can afford it. I couldn't understand that. I could understand what she said a bit, but I missed the beginning of it, so I couldn't.
Here, look, again, we're back to our reports, but that's what we're restricted to now in legislation of this nature. Unfortunately, it's the only way we have scope to, you know, seek to push back at government. I note from the minister's speech at second stage, and I quote, "Weekly earnings in excess of €410 attract employer PRSI at a higher rate of 11.05%.
Oh, PSI,
The
yeah.
earnings threshold increased from
Focus, yeah.
€410 to 441 in Section 4 is designed to take account of the forthcoming.
I tell you, this country's a scam. A good idea.
€10.50 to €11.30 per hour. Employers with employees benefiting from the increase in the national minimum wage
Yeah.
will continue to attract the lower rate of employer PRSI. The reason for the amendment is just to seek some sort of an assessment of how that increase is impacting on both the employer and the employee in terms of
Not good. I think I have a headache.
potential.
I put it on question period, so we stay live for another few minutes on it. So I just kind of was interested to see what they were talking about. Because I haven't listened to them all day, because I was away walking for this morning up until 4, so I'm just listening to what they have to say. Let me see. Need to find someone here. But yeah, what do we think of that? I kind of couldn't understand half of it, to be totally honest. Because I just missed the beginning of it. So I couldn't really...
Don't pay your electricity bill before watching this. An incredible system has been developed that heats homes with virtually no energy and is now available in the UK. Thanks to this new revolutionary heater, you can save a lot of money on your gas and electricity.
Scams. Speaking of a scam, there's a scam. Speaking of the devil and the devil shall appear. There's a scam. Whee. Yeah, we won't stay live much longer than this because I will have to tip on in a few minutes' time. So we just chillax for a few minutes. Do I have it loud enough? I think that's loud enough. Why is this? No, the internet's gone. Oh, my eye. Like, why is this happening? Why is, like, literally the internet keep going off and on this thing? I don't know why this happens. Oh wait, we're back. Right, we went out for a second. Hello? They could say this is back. My eye. I think this has actually pissed me off. This is millions to one. Hello? I might just reload the tab. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck to think of this now. It never was like this bad before the internet filming. Like it wouldn't, like it was on for a second then turned off. I don't know what the fuck could I think of it. What the fuck's the problem here now? Oh, I don't know what to make of that. Why is this not loading? Oh, who knows what the fuck to think of it. Alright, so we have to do without the music. I don't know why. I'm just going to turn off my computer because it's actually pissed me off. So, I'm going to switch it down. Shut it down. It's actually pissed me off, so I don't know what. Don't know why it's happening like that, but I don't know. Oh, let me turn this off too. Yeah. So yeah, I think on that note we go, because the music, the computer literally pissed me off. So we go. So I talk to you all later, and I'll probably be back later anyway. So I talk to you then, and goodbye.